Me and the guys have a debate. Who is the bigger manipulator, Kreia or Poppy? Kreia definitely is the bigger manipulator. I mean, think about it. Palpatine's manipulation was pretty magnificent. That's true. But Kreia was manipulating things on a galactic scale. So much so that she was essentially manipulating the actions of the Force itself. Making calculations of like, if I do this, the Force is gonna have to react in this way. And no one has ever been able to do that before or since. Like people theorize that Palpatine and his master, Plagueis, they inadvertently led to the creation of Anakin Skywalker. That would be some, but inadvertently being the key word. If it was Kreia going out of her way to do that, she would make it happen on purpose. Kreia was Revan's master at some point, right? Yeah. First and last master. First master he had, and the one he went back to when, you know, after he learned everything. The last thing he needed to learn was, how do I remove this Jedi mentality out of myself? Who will more likely outsmart one of the other? Kreia would definitely outsmart Palpatine on the sheer basis alone that Palpatine is an out-and-out Sith. She knows exactly how a Sith thinks, and he's stuck in that way. He's stuck in that religion, while Kreia is much more unpredictable. And having experienced both Jedi and Sith, she knows exactly what to do to them in order to get a specific outcome. So Kreia would definitely be able to outsmart him on the very fact alone that he is tied, a slave to that ideology. I personally think Kreia will outsmart Poppy like nothing. It will make him look like a fool. I agree. I agree, yeah. For the reasons I just laid out. He's a Sith. You know, through and through, he's a Sith. He's the one that managed to do what they've been wanting to do since they were first banished out of Republic space. Like she says that, like, you can. She says that the Sith teachings, you know, they long for revenge against the Jedi, and it echoes in their teachings. For them, revenge against the Jedi is all that matters. And then she says this in a tone of like of disapproval, all that's ever mattered. Like she doesn't look at Sith in very high regard because of that. Like that's all that's ever mattered to those fools. They can't see anything beyond that. Their teachings are just anti-Jedi. They've never been able to find their own identity. They've always, since their very inception, they've only ever been anti-Jedi. And that's not something that appeals to her. Especially not after, you know, she was kicked out of the Sith and was forced to analyze the whole thing. What about Ulysses versus Kreia? Who would outwit the other? Well, Kreia. But then again, very different people. Very different, shaped by very different environments. I also wonder what Kreia will think about Jolie's ideology and belief. He's still a Jedi. She would probably say that he didn't go far enough. He tried to find his own identity and still couldn't completely break away from that mentality. He disagrees with him on things, but at his core he's still Jedi. She might respect the Sith for wanting to gain power, but she disapproves how they gain it.
Those demons. They're about fear.
No,
Paranoia.
I mean,
See the marshal.
that's another thing about the Sith, that power for what? Power for power's sake is useless.
Soon you'll see.
What the same argument she makes with the lightsabers. A lightsaber is just a weapon, a tool. Alone it's meaningless, it's nothing, it's a hunk of metal and plasma. What are you going to do with it? That's what matters. Takumi the betrayer! Ah! Ah! How dare you! So she pretty much despises both despises both Jedi and Sith. I mean, she carries teachings from both, of course, but you know, the one she agrees with. But I guess you could say that she despises the Force and not exactly the Jedi and the Sith, because I guess to her she would just see the Jedi and the Sith as results of the Force. If the Force wasn't there, then they wouldn't exist. It's almost like the Jedi and Sith are victims of the Force. Could there be a third or fourth factions as example for Jedi, Sith, or factions? I mean, there's plenty of Force using factions in Fallout though, but as far as being the Jedi and the Sith being, you know, the main ones causing all the ruckus. Kreia is a Zen survivor, that is why she holds contempt for the Force and its victims. There are other Force religions except for Jedi and Sith, yes. I think the Miraluka have their own religion and all that shit. I don't know about that, but some Miraluka do become Jedi. But like a religion, they're not a religion based on the Force, they're a species that's based around the Force because they use it to see. Naturally, it's all they can do in order to see. But I'm thinking more like Jiao Shay, you know? I know they're a Force-sensitive species, but I think they have their own religion also. They probably do. I swear I heard it somewhere. I mean, they probably... What the f...